You know how Harland Sanders came up with the original idea for this restaurant? How did the KFC brand use its marketing and advertising strategy to become one of the most famous and popular restaurant chains in the world? How did Harland Sanders succeed in turning a small restaurant in a famous global restaurant chain? Let's uncover the answers to these mysteries in this fascinating video. After facing several failures in achieving your goal, do you give up trying? How old do you think you can still start from scratch? Keep those numbers in mind, and let's explore the adventurous and remarkable life story of Colonel Harland David Sanders, famously known as Colonel Sanders, the founder of the renowned food brand KFC. A man whom neither numerous failures nor age could hinder his progress and success. Harland Sanders was born on September 9, 1890, in Henryville, Indiana. In a small house, he was the eldest of 5 siblings. His mother was of Irish and Dutch descent. His father was a kind and hard-working man who worked on his 80 acres farm until he broke his leg in a fall from a height. After that, he was forced to work in a butcher shop in Henryville. Harland's mother was a devout Christian and very strict, always warning her children about the danger of alcohol and tobacco. In 1895, when Harland was only 5 years old, his father passed away. After his father's death, his mother worked in a tomato canning factory, and Harland took care of his siblings and cooked for them. His interest in cooking sparked at a young age. At the age of 7, he had great skills in baking bread and cooking various dishes with vegetables. In 1899, Harland's mother remarried. His stepfather didn't treat him and his siblings well and harassed them. So, Harland had to leave home at the age of 12 and go to work on a farm in Greenwood, Indiana to live and work. He dropped out of school in 1903 when he was in 7th grade. Harland started working as a horse carriage painter in Indianapolis at the age of 13 and moved to southern Indiana as a farm laborer when he turned 14. In 1906, Harland went to live with his uncle in New Albany, Indiana. His uncle worked for a tram company. It took a long time until Harland finally found a job with difficulty at Western Railway in 1909. At that time, he met Josephine King Jasper, and shortly after that, on June 15, 1909, he married her. After they had 3 children, he found a good job as a firefighter at Central Illinois Railroad and moved with his family to Jackson, Tennessee. It wasn't long before Harland lost his job there due to a fight with one of his colleagues, and he was transferred to Rock Island Railroad. At that time, his family had to return to his uncle's and live with him. After a while, Harland started working as a lawyer in Little Rock. Worked hard for 3 years, and with his salary savings, he was able to reunite his family. But unfortunately, this job wasn't stable for him either, and he was fired again due to dispute with one of his clients. Harland thought that was the end of his life. Following this incident, Harland had to return to his mother and work as a laborer on the Pennsylvania Railroad. Fortune smiled on him again, and he succeeded in establishing a small booze rental company in 1920 at the age of 30. At that time, he only had 1 boat. Harland worked day and night for that 1 boat and finally managed to buy a portion of the main shipping company's shares with the savings from his daily income. He then sold his shares for $2,200, and used that money to establish a steel lamp manufacturing company. Unfortunately, this investment also failed. The beginning spark of fried Kentucky Fried Chicken was ignited. The spark of Kentucky Fried Chicken was ignited in 1930 when Harland Sanders leased a gas station in North Corbin, Kentucky from Shell Oil Company and began selling foods like chicken, ham, and steak on a percentage of sales basis. Over the years, the popularity of his food increased, reaching a point of fame where in 1939, Duncan Hines, food critic, included his restaurant in his book, Adventures in Good Eating, after visiting Harland's restaurants. In June 1939, Harland bought a motel in North Carolina and opened the North Corbin Motel restaurant. By July 1940, at the age of 50, he had completed the secret recipe for frying chicken in his pressure fryer and started selling this delicious chicken in his motel restaurant. In 1952, Harland gave his secret recipe to Pete Harmon, the manager of one of the city's largest restaurants, for the first time. In the first year of serving this food, Harmon's restaurant sales more than tripled, with 75% of it coming from Harland's Kentucky Fried Chicken. Adding Kentucky Fried Chicken to his menu was a way for Harmon to stay ahead of his competitors. In 1975, he would place 14 pieces of chicken, 5 pieces of bread, and a pint of sauce in cardboard bucket and sell it as a completed meal for $3.5. After the remarkable success of Harmon's restaurants due to the sale of Harland's product, several other restaurant owners bought Kentucky chickens from Harland for 4 cents each. Sanders thought that the North Corbin Motel restaurant would always be successful, but at the age of 65, he was forced to sell it due to a decline in interstate traffic in America. In 1955, instead of being content with the savings and money he received from Social Security, he took his receipt to the surrounding roads and launched advertising campaigns to sell his fried chicken recipe. Harland showed his energy and enthusiasm in his advertising campaigns by wearing a suit and white shirt, a black tie, and a cane. By 1963, Harland had succeeded in handing over his recipe to more than 600 shops and restaurants in the United States and Canada. He had 17 employees at the time and traveled more than 2,100 miles annually to promote his Kentucky Fried Chicken. How was Harland Sanders' late journey at Kentucky Fried Chicken? Running the Kentucky chicken trade was more than Harland could handle it, and at the age of 74. In 1964, he sold his business for $2 million and received an annual payment of $40,000 to an investor group led by John Yo Brown Jr. In response to people asking him why he sold his business after working tirelessly, Harland said, "Many of you have asked me why I sold Kentucky Fried Chicken after working day and night for it. The answer to this question is simple. My business will surely be much bigger, but it doesn't matter who puts in the effort for it." In 1965, Sanders moved to the outskirts of Toronto and supervised the Canadian branches of Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants. Sanders lived in a lakeside cottage in the Meshuggah area from 1965 until his death in 1980. The management of Kentucky Fried Chicken changed again. In 1981, Kentucky Fried Chicken made a comeback with the launch of a campaign slogan, "We do chicken right," rejuvenating its brand. A year later, a private company Hebelian acquired the chain and, with Mayor's help, received the Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants. With significant capital and international presence, the company leveraged these assets to advance to its restaurants. By 1983, Reynolds Corporation significantly boosted fried chicken sales, reaching $2.4 billion that year, with 4,500 stores in the US and 1,400 outlets in 54 foreign countries. No other fast food chain could compete except McDonald's. Pepsi, the beverage giant, acquired Kentucky Fried Chicken. In 1986, Pepsi Company purchased the Kentucky Fried Chicken chain of restaurants for $840 million. Pepsi Company cited the superior performance and increased revenues of these restaurants from 1980 to 1985 as a reason for their purchase. Everyone except the Pepsi Company, which was successfully managing other chain restaurants like Pizza Hut and Taco Bell to introduce new products for Kentucky Fried Chicken. In 1996, the company invested $23 million to establish the Harland Sanders Technical Center, covering 200. Everyone expected Pepsi Company, which was successfully managing other chain restaurants like Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, to introduce new products for Kentucky Fried Chicken. In 1986, the company invested $23 million to establish the Harland Sanders Technical Center, covering 200,000 square feet, to develop the new fried chicken products. The establishment of Kentucky Fried Chicken advertising company stabilized the company, establishing successful relationship with franchises was essential for the company's success. Most franchises admired Pepsi Company's ability to manage the company effectively. To this end, in 1966, Kentucky Fried Chicken Advertising Company was founded, giving franchises 10 votes and company managers 3 votes when determining budgets and advertising campaigns. By 1976, this advertising company worked to improve contracts negotiated during Brown's time. Some of their reviewed contracts date back to when Harland Sanders personally sealed deals with a handshake. All efforts of this advertising company aim to create a democratic company that's not only provided good services to franchises, but also help restaurants run smoothly without any hiccups. In July 1989, Richard Mayer, CEO and chairman of Kentucky Fried Chicken, resigned. Mayer, along with Mike Miles, had tried to save the company from recessions of the 1970s. But just as they were negotiating contracts with franchises, Mayer left Kentucky Fried Chicken. John Carter, an executive of Pepsi Company, was appointed as the new CEO of the company. Within a few months, Carter met with franchises and entered negotiations to gear their approval. Among the issues discussed at these meetings was Pepsi Company's proposal for automatically renewing existing contracts between the company and franchises with reasonable upgrades to its clauses. In the fall of 1990, despite the communication issues within the company, Kentucky Fried Chicken announced a one-day fire sale to celebrate Harland Sanders' centennial birthday. While they struggled to introduce new products and negotiate with franchises, their competitors were rapidly introducing changes and new products, taking the lead from him. The Hot Wings products was the only success of Kentucky Fried Chicken among other introduced products, such as oven-baked chicken, skinless chicken, and sandwich style in 1990. In late September 1990, the Kentucky Fried Chicken increased its success by purchasing 209 American restaurants from the international private corporation Collins Food. Additionally, they added the rights to 182 Canadian restaurants from Scott's Hospitality to their portfolio with his purchase. And finally, the story of KFC brand demonstrates that with ideas and determination, nothing is impossible. I hope you enjoyed this fascinating journey through the history of this brand. Be inspired and see how you can create or strengthen your own brand as a creative individual. Like the video now and join us. We'll see you soon in other videos.